I'd like to call this meeting to order. I'd like to apologize for our late start, but we were waiting for our concert to end. So, Mr. Del Greco, would you lead us in a flag salute? Sunshine Law Statement. All requirements of the Open Public Meetings Act have been met for this meeting of the Board of Education of the Borough of Oradell. Notice of this meeting was filed with the Record and Town News and all persons requesting such notice. Mrs. Norian, would you read the mission statement?
Certainly. The Oradell Public School District is dedicated to the ongoing pursuit of educational excellence through comprehensive, innovative curriculum and instruction. The district is committed to providing opportunities for social, emotional, and academic discovery to foster curiosity, courage, and character. Our goal is to prepare our students to become lifelong learners who are self-directed, resilient, productive, responsible citizens.
Thank you. Roll call.
On the roll, Mr. Del Greco.
Here.
Mr. Darian.
Here.
Mrs. Downey.
Here.
Mrs. Moran.
Here.
Mr. Nutlin will not be joining us. Mrs. Walker.
Here.
Mr. Walsh will not be joining us. Mrs. Norrie.
Here.
Mrs. Nichols.
Here. At this time, we will open to the public for agenda items only. Not seeing any, we'll move forward. We're going to move right to the superintendent's report.
Good evening. I'd like to begin my report by commending our music department on another wonderful concert that just finished minutes ago. This year, there was an incredible creativity to the concert. There was a song about duct tape. There were basketballs used as percussion instruments, and I was honored to be asked to play the vacuum in a song about dust bunnies. This is the first of many musical events happening this spring, from an additional concert highlighting the fourth grade choral and fourth grade band and our handbell groups. Our spring musical will be in May. Our wind ensemble will also participate in the Bergen County Band Festival. Our music program is one of the traditions that this district should continue to be so proud of. In the area of traditions, two big ones are happening for our sixth graders this week and next. The Hoops Finals is this Friday, and the Spring Fling will occur next Friday. Also, next week will be the Oradell PTA, Oradell Emerson Rotary sponsored basketball game, where our OPS staff will take on the Wizards. I've always said that one goal at Oradell Public School is to find the balance between holding on to tradition while also embracing the new. One exciting new fact that I learned last week has to do with our physical education department. As you know, as part of the Kids Heart Challenge, OPS raised over $41,000 for the American Heart Association. As a thank you for our efforts, our PE teachers were invited to an event at MetLife Stadium where they not only received CPR training, but they also received 10 CPR mannequins for the district so they can instruct staff and/or students in hands-only CPR. I know Mrs. Hawley has already begun having conversations with our sixth grade team about finding a way to include that in the spring curriculum. The last 2 weeks also saw us focusing on district goals, specifically District Goal 1, which focuses on improving academic achievement, as Mr. Werner and Ms. Cummings have been facilitating an after-school professional development class on developing staff's conceptual understanding of fractions. As the OEA contract states, staff members who attend professional development outside the school day are compensated. This compensation and the materials purchased were funded with Title II monies. Staff members who were not able to attend the after-school sessions will receive equivalent professional development during the school day. Another way we've been focusing on academic achievement is to provide our parent community with an understanding of the work their children are doing in the classroom. This has been happening in first grade right now as parents have the opportunity to come in and work through math centers as part of March Madness. We are also making strides in District Goal 3 as we will be utilizing mid-marking period progress reports in 5th grade for the final marking period. You'll remember that this is a new protocol we began in 6th grade earlier this year. Finally, all board members should have received a link to allow you to view the new website and app. I ask that if you have any suggestions, you email them to me. The goal continues to be to launch the new site over the spring break. There will be less digital traffic that week, and it's a good opportunity for a soft start. And that concludes my report.
Thank you. Mr. Iapelli?
I just wanted to give a quick update on the PSE&G direct install program. We've had the contractors that are responsible for submitting our paperwork and our documentation and specs to PSE&G. They came out, they've documented all of our rooftop units. So hopefully we will hear something back sooner than later, but he said plan around end of May. That concludes my report.
Thank you. This time we'll move to minutes. We have a review of March 12th. Any questions or comments, please email Mr. Iapelli. We have approval of the minutes for February 26th. Do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Mrs. Walker, was that you? Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Ms. Moran. Any questions? Call the question.
On the roll, Mr. Del Greco.
Yes.
Mr. Darian.
Yes.
Mrs. Downey.
Yes.
Mrs. Moran.
Yes.
Mrs. Walker.
Yes.
Mrs. Norian.
Yes.
Mrs. Nichols.
Yes, moving to committee reports, buildings and grounds, Mr. Del Greco.
We'd like to introduce B1, use of facilities. Looks like the Girl Scouts are using, would like to use the facility.
Do I have a second? Second by Mrs. Walker. Any questions? Call the question.
On the roll, Mr. Del Greco.
Yes.
Mr. Darian.
Yes.
Mrs. Downey.
Yes.
Mrs. Moran.
Yes.
Mrs. Walker.
Yes.
Mrs. Norian.
Yes.
Mrs. Nichols.
Yes, curriculum, Mrs. Norian.
Curriculum, we had a meeting on March 19th. Some of the things that we discussed were the math curriculum, where we are with it, and how it relates to our Linkit information, and what we're doing with Amplify Desmus, and where we are with the PD, the professional development for our staff and using those things. Then we also talked a little bit about interventions and how people were moved from one, I'm a little louder, okay. Moved from one tier to another tier. So we had a little discussion on that, and we should have some further information on that in the future. Talked about civics and how it's aligned with our curriculum. And we also touched on AI and some things about how staff determines or how people determine what to use as far as for books that are in addition to the curriculum books that are listed within our curriculum. And then also we touched on our discussion was about opting out, and when we opt out, there are some things that need to be addressed. The kids still need to have those things taught to them somehow by their families, or however we're going to do that, but we need to know exactly if those children have been taught or have been introduced to those items. So we were talking about a spreadsheet of those students who might be included in an opt-out. And that was it. And with that, I'd like to move that we approve a field trip to Camp Mason.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Mr. Del Greco. Any questions?
I have a comment or a question, actually. This is regarding material choice for libraries and other classrooms. You mentioned you have a document from 2018 that outlines the criteria, and that document is aligned to policy 6163.1. So I looked up 6163.1, and unfortunately I compared it to AI, right? So, but it's pretty good. It was revised in 2019. Originally is from 2009. But I'd like to know what's in that 2018 document that we would refer to. And then also I looked up policy 6161.1, and I think it's kind of antiquated, even though it's been updated. I mean, they talk about animals dissection and not being able to opt out for stuff like that. It just seems like there's a lot of stuff that is not aligned.
Which
So,
number is that?
6161.1.
Okay, we'll look at that in policy.
Now, yeah, this is something that we would direct then to policy, not
Yeah.
necessary. We mentioned that we looked at those types of things, and they seemed in alignment. Sometimes with the policies that come through, they're for everyone, for districts that
Yeah.
have a K to 12. And while everything in a policy doesn't apply to an elementary school, it's still part of a policy, and we, at least in the past, we have kept that in the policy.
Okay.
What was your question? Did you have a question?
No, just a comment about the two policies, and if we could maybe
Okay,
possibly
so
look at them.
61, what's the other one?
6163.
Okay, we'll take a look
And
at
they
it.
just outline, also in addition to the things I mentioned, they also outline the board's responsibility to, review and provide governance and all that kind of stuff. I just want to make sure.
Okay, we'll add
you
it to
know.
policy. Can you maybe address the AI issue? Because I know Mr. Del Greco had a question on the AI, and we're waiting basically, because it's so new, you think the school board's going to come out with a policy, right?
Yes, Stress Esme has already come out with a policy. I think I shared the number with you, so you can see that one. The Bergen County Association of School Administrators has just put together a committee to talk about what each district is doing. And as I said, Cresskill, so right next door to us, is really leading the way on this. At this point, my recommendation is that we give school boards a few more months, and if not, then we get to work at creating our own. But right now, as you know, at your request, we have surveyed the staff, seen what they're doing, and also sent them an email saying, okay, you need to understand about data privacy and what are you putting into those prompts, because that is one of our number one concerns, and with something new, not everyone is always thinking that way.
Thank you.
Any other questions, Mrs. Walker?
And to your point, Ms. Bozios, I went to a school board's meeting back last, I guess it was springtime.
It was October, I think. I think it was October. Was it October?
I thought it was the spring,
It
doesn't
might have been.
matter.
Okay.
But anyway, Cresskill was leading the way then. And if they're still leading the way, because I had thought, my goodness, I'm sure other districts are going to jump on that bandwagon, but they were very knowledgeable. And the one key thing that he did say was, it's here to stay. It's not going away, so you better get on the bandwagon and adhere to some of the things that we're saying, that they're saying. And with that, I just have a quick question about the curriculum committee that I was unfortunately unable to attend. The civics across the curriculum, has that up for discussion and revamping because there isn't enough, or why was that brought up?
I think someone asked it to be added to the curriculum. I think I asked to be added to the curriculum. And we saw, you gave us a printout, so Mrs. Walker can get that, or we can give it to the entire board.
I really appreciate that, because I don't think I don't know, but I think that we need to put a little more emphasis on civic government.
Take a look at what's in the curriculum
I
now,
will.
and then we'll go from there.
Okay.
Any other
Thank
questions? Call the question.
On the roll, Mr. Del Greco.
Yes.
Mr. Darian.
Yes.
Mrs. Downey.
Yes.
Mrs. Moran.
Yes.
Mrs. Walker.
Yes.
Mrs. Norian.
Yes.
Mrs. Nichols.
Yes, finance, Mr. Darian?
Yes, we did not have a meeting since our last meeting, so I have no update from that perspective. We just have these items, D1 through D8, that I would like to introduce tonight for approval.
Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Second by Mrs. Norian. Any questions?
I just have a question.
Mr. Darian?
D, is it 7? Yeah, 7, the Chromebooks. It's 250 Chromebooks for $87,000 for the public. Is that planned? Do we plan to do that, or is it just something we added,
It's
late
what we
in the
normally do
year?
at the end of every year.
So it was
250.
budgeted? Okay, I wasn't sure, because, we go back and forth sometimes on these decisions to hold off, and I don't remember, that's all.
Any other questions? What is your question exactly? Was it budgeted for this year,
Yeah,
or
yeah. Is this budgeted, or did we just kind of decide to do it without budgeting it?
sometimes if, okay, Mr. Iapelli or Ms. Bozias, you want to answer, Mr. Iapelli?
We've talked about it, it was budgeted, and if it was possible to fit in this year's budget at this time of the year, we decided, based on where we are in the budget, we can purchase these
Right.
to meet the needs this year and going forward, because of this group is how many, this age is?
Which grade is this for?
Current kindergarten and current third grade, so we're taking a step ahead and not waiting to give our first and fourth graders next year laptops. We're going to give them the laptops we would normally give them next year earlier and give them this year. It has a lot to do with some rumors we've heard about costs. And if
Yeah.
we could do it now, it made more sense to
We
do it
budget
now.
them every year.
No,
Every year we budget them.
yeah, I remember. It's just sometimes, certain years, budgets are tighter, and we don't plan them, and then we just do it if we can.
But Dell also had mentioned to us that if we don't get these orders in now, they're not sure based on
100% tariff or something.
landscape going forward,
Uh-huh.
when or if. And also those that includes the licenses, the insurance, the protection, it's the whole bundle.
Yeah.
So it's not just the device itself, that's one component.
Yeah.
You have a question?
Speaking of which, that includes the EDR and all the licenses, right, that come with managing those, right, through Google Workspace. So that's the complete package. Thank you.
Any other questions? Call the question?
On the roll, Mr. Del Greco,
Yes.
Mr. Darian,
Yes.
Mrs. Downey,
Yes.
Mrs. Moran,
Yes.
Mrs. Walker,
Yes.
Mrs. Norian,
Yes.
Mrs. Nichols.
Yes, we will go to personnel as Mr. Walsh is not here. Mrs. Walker?
Yes, thank you. I'd like to present F1. And
Do I have a second? Second by Mrs. Norian. Go ahead, Mrs. Walker.
And I'm probably being very ignorant about this. First of all, we have not had a meeting this past month, so I really don't have any update on personnel. But I do have a question within the, what is Camp Mason? I see these number of teachers going.
If you think about when maybe your grandchildren went to Camp Bernie, it's a very similar field trip as Camp Bernie. Our sixth grade team several years ago felt that the Camp Bernie experience wasn't what it once was. And so for the past few years, we've been experimenting with different sixth grade field trips. They have asked to try Camp Mason this year. That payment is because the field trip will extend the school day. So the OEA contract pays staff $45 an hour for any field trip outside the school day. So they will be leaving, I think it's at 7:30 in the morning. They will be coming back later, so it will be up to 3 hours of additional compensation.
Okay, all right. Thank you.
Any other questions? Call the question?
On the roll, Mr. Del Greco,
Yes.
Mr. Darian,
Yes.
Mrs. Downey,
Yes.
Mrs. Moran,
Yes.
Mrs. Walker,
Yes.
Mrs. Norian,
Yes.
Mrs. Nichols.
Yes, Mr. Nutlin is not here. We did have a meeting right before this meeting this evening. Ms. Moran, you want to just give us an update?
Sure. We met and discussed visitor policy, grants, gifts, and bequests, and usage of school facilities, and we're going to follow up on that.
Thank you. Any questions?
I got a question.
Mr. Darian?
You mentioned something about parent coffees, and,
That's going to be in PR. We're not there yet.
oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, we're in policy.
Okay,
We're
I'll
not-
wait.
Any questions on policy? Okay, policy. Ms. Downey?
Okay, so we had a meeting on the 19th. Can you hear me? Yeah.
Yeah.
We went over the website, looks good, coming soon. We talked about the superintendent wants to do parent coffees, so that'll be coming. Gifts for the retired teachers, and the spring newsletter went out. Right, I got mine.
Yeah, website looks real good. It's going to be, everyone should check it out if you guys have the link. If you send the link, right, it looks really good. So what was your question for PR?
Yes, parent copies. So is that just between the superintendent and the parents, or is that like the entire board and the parents? Or
It's
what
not the
what do you
board. The
envision?
first one's going to be the superintendent, myself, and the principal. It's going to depend on the topic. It's not the board.
So you're going to have an agenda, like a topic. It's not going to be just an open meet
There
and
will be
greet?
an agenda.
I think we saw this as an opportunity to help differentiate what the principal does, what the superintendent does, and what the board via the board president does. So the first one, that will be part of the focus of it, and from there, we'll decide, based on the topic, who should be there and leading the way.
Okay.
Any other questions? Mr. Del Greco?
More of a comment. I was looking at the new website on the train today, and I must say it's very easily navigatable on the phone. The links are nice. Yeah, it's a great job
Anything you
so
didn't
far.
like as a parent?
I didn't
May as well
dive
put it out
into
here now. She doesn't want to hear it, but let's hear it now. It looks good, right?
It looks great.
I mean, it's
all
not
the
finished,
comment
but
is-
it's not good. It's good.
Yeah,
It's not
I mean, it's
finished.
very uniform. I like the uniformity of it. I like even the absentee, like you click on it and you can fill out the form, which is huge versus having to call in. There's a lot of, I think, pluses that'll help from a parent perspective.
Is there a link to the app yet or no?
Yes, as I shared in the email,
Okay.
it is live.
Yeah, I
That too
didn't
is
download
still a
that yet.
draft.
I
Yeah.
didn't see that yet either. Okay. At this time, we will open to the public. We're going to limit comments to 3 minutes.
Should,
Just,
excuse me,
sorry.
can, just for the delegate, even though the delegate is not here, just to mention, I believe that Mr. Iapelli sent out information that the next delegate assembly will be May, the beginning of May, right?
That is correct.
you can check
Okay.
with Mr. Walsh. Is
So
it
we'll
by
check.
Zoom or is it in person?
It's in person.
In
So you
person.
can check with him if he's going to go, and otherwise, Mrs. Norian will go.
Okay, okay.
Okay.
I just wanted to make sure
Okay.
that that got in
Open
there.
to the public? If you could just state your name for the record, then if you can fill out the form there. No.
Yeah. Can you guys hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, great. June Chang, nice to meet everybody. Let me just fill this out. Thank you. I have 3 minutes, so I'm not going to try to take up the whole 3 minutes, and I know you guys had a lot of
There's not a lot of people here, so if you want to take longer, we're pretty mellow with it.
Great. Appreciate the luxury of that. First, I wanted to say thank you because I know this is not an easy job. How you guys sit here, meet twice a month, and then number of different meetings that I'm sure everyone in the community is probably clamoring to get into your ears and kind of find out and hear about what's going on, right? I have a couple of comments. One is I really appreciate the fact, the move with the website. I think that's incredibly refreshing, as well as a tool that we're going to be able to utilize to find like the central piece of truth, where we can go for the most valid information. A lot of us probably aren't on Facebook, aren't on other social media platforms, but is able to kind of find some place to be able to go find actual information that's coming directly from the governance body as well as the administrative body, which is going to be great. The other thing is I commend you on taking on the task of the superintendent coffees. I look forward to them, and I think that's a great opportunity to, apart from the governance and policy setting body, to really hear about the leadership goals and the vision of what you're going to set for the district as a whole, and to really kind of understand what the experience of our children will be moving forward, which is very exciting for me. The next however many years, to be able to understand what those goals are, what those things and mechanisms that you're going to put into place are going to be very good for me to hear, and as well as from the board perspective, to understand like what the priorities are, particularly with an ever-changing world where education itself is evolving in the way people learn, and the needs of the kids are growing exponentially. You touched a little bit about AI. I love the fact that you guys are talking about that. Would love to hear more about what the future goals and the vision may be. Regardless of whatever the policy might be set as, what can we do to enhance a tool, probably the greatest human invention of human history, how do we incorporate that? Or how do we safeguard ourselves for that, and kind of giving us information on those things? So those are very key important things that I think are great steps towards to communicating to the public. The next thing that I'm going to say is, please, again, I started off by saying I appreciate everyone and the time, and please don't take it as a negative criticism. But I do think there are ways that myself crave a little bit more information, particularly around your committees, how you've spoken in those committees, what you've talked about, how you come to your decisions would be beneficial for me to understand and to really kind of get behind, what we are doing as a district. The more information, the better. And I know there's certain things that are completely confidential, and definitely with student information and all those things, respecting all those things, but really would like to hear kind of the robust dialogue, the debates that you guys might be having. Gives me a sense of understanding of people really have the reins, right? As well as giving the opportunity for the administration which you've hired to be able to do their job most effectively and most impactfully. So would love to be able to hear that. And please forgive me, I'm from New York, so I talk a little bit quicker than I like. The other thing that I would state is I would love to get a sense in the board meetings. I know when I go on the website now, I currently see like presentations that were given, some of the things that are on the agenda. I would love to hear kind of in the schedule some breakout of what you guys are talking about. What's the key topic? Things come up all the time, right? You got the budget cycle, you got the HIBs, you got other policy presentations. What are those key things that come up each and every one of those board meetings, kind of like on a regular basis? Having like a theme. So people who may not have the time to attend the board meetings can say, okay, this is something that I'm really interested about. I want to be able to hear about this. It's on the list. This is what's going to be covered. We'll be able to engage more. And again, I appreciate this forum to be able to have this dialogue and to be able to speak with the board. But I also know this is not the place where I get questions and answers back and forth. So having multiple forums as such will definitely be beneficial moving forward. Lastly, I will say that what you do is incredibly difficult. What the administration deals with, more so, is that much more difficult. And that trickles down again to the teachers. Would love to be able to hear from the educators and the programmatic people of the district, really highlighting some of the things that we do on a daily basis for our students. The types of experience that when my daughter walks through the school and when she comes through, what is she going to experience? As a newer parent coming in, I would love to be able to hear that. And I also think it would invigorate them because I think these teachers are very prideful. We get into teaching, people get into teaching because they love what they do. And I want to be able to hear that. That's more infectious. And I think I want to be able to hear that more so than the arguments of what is this, what is that, what should we be doing, what shouldn't we be doing. I think the boots on the ground really give us a sense of what the experience of our students are. And I think that's the most paramount and important aspect of schools as an experience. So with that, I would challenge the board to kind of think of new ways to engage and also new ways to be able to present the information so that it becomes a little bit more digestible for us as community members to be involved. I have one last comment, is that since I've moved into town, one of the things that I've noticed is that every election season I see the yard signs. I know you are all more than those yard signs. I would love it if there was an opportunity during every election cycle, whether you are opposed or not, to be able to hear what your goals are. Why did you come onto the board? And to have those dialogues, to get a sense, again, to feel connected to the people that we trust to be able to make decisions moving forward as a school. So thank you for your time. Appreciate it.
Thank you for coming. Just to your last point, by the way, I do believe that if there is an election, if there's is an election that's contested, the PTA does hold a candidate night, so you can meet the candidates if it's contested.
I would just ask, like, above, because I believe there's been 2 years that people have been contested. So just to get a better sense of everybody. So I'm not, thank you for the information.
Moving to old or new business, Mr. Del Greco.
Just want to take the opportunity to thank Ms. Bozius and Ms. Hawley for allowing the board, or myself specifically, to do Read Across America, read in the classroom. The book Ate My Dog was a pretty funny book. Had me shaking the book up and down and the kids laughing, so I appreciate to be able to do that, so thank you.
Any other old or new business?
I have some.
Mr. Varian?
One is, getting back to AI. AI is a very common term, but what it really means is a lot of different things. So, initially I remember everyone using AI to do their homework, right? Help with the writing assignments, kind of like some of the other Grammarly, right? And now AI is so much more. So, I view it in like 2 or 3 different buckets. One is, help me improve my writing, but 2 is, provide instruction. I mean, you can ask very specific questions, and like in the past, anything legal-ish, it would just default to, well, we don't do any legal advice, blah, 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 we won't give you any answers. Well, now it's not that case anymore. So, as an example, I put in the policy documents for New Jersey, and it gave me a whole 3-4 page recommendation on what it should include. I mean, it wasn't just spouting what the policy was. So I was amazed, and so we can use AI to help instruction, by asking those questions. And then third is prompting, right? And you can ask AI to give you an answer, and AI will give you what you want, or you can prompt it in a way to challenge you and to try to prove you wrong, so that your interaction is a debate, and it tries to undermine, plays devil's advocates to your assumptions, and that is very beneficial, because a lot of times you don't know what you don't know, right, until someone tells you, and that's the kind of thing that if you're good with your prompting, you get that instead of just a regurgitation of what you just gave it. So if we approach our either PD or whatever from those 3 perspectives, I don't know how that would apply to, whether we apply it towards the teachers or how we apply it to the kids and their learning, but, there's just a lot more to it than just, putting in information and asking them to rewrite it. And then the other thing I'd like to bring up tonight is regarding the comment about our calendar. I thought it was a good idea that we kind of pre-populate, what are the key milestones throughout the year. So, obviously we have our big reorg meeting. That's a joke, right? Nobody cares about that. But we do have our board goals, we have our teacher recognitions, we have budget presentations. These are standing, common things that we do every year. And if we were to pre-populate the website with those dates so that people would know, and if we plan on doing, board goal updates periodically, maybe pre-populate those days, so this way, somebody can plan, whether or not they go to, spring break fling or our spring break Easter vacation, or they attend a board meeting, they can look it up way in advance.
Any other old or new business? Personnel, we need to go downstairs quick. Anyone need a closed session? Okay.
So I move to adjourn.
Second by Mrs. Walker, all in favor?
Aye.
All right. Thank you for coming.